When you're lying in a hospital bed, stapled, stitched, and barely awake, you expect the people you love to protect what matters. But some don't protect. Some wait for you to be helpless, and then they strike. This is the story of how my mother-in-law tried to erase me from my own home, and how she didn't realize she was the trespasser. The message came while I was still groggy from morphine. I blinked at my phone screen, a photo. My antique bookcase sitting on the curb, with a free sign taped to it. My hands trembled as I scrolled. More photos, my grandmother's quilt draped over a trash bin, my first edition novels dumped into boxes labeled donation. Then the message. Finally getting this place organized properly. Don't worry about a thing, dear. Vivian Montgomery. My mother-in-law. 3 days earlier, I'd fallen from a ladder while restoring crown molding. 18 stitches. Hairline skull fracture. Now Vivian was clearing out Oak Ridge Manor, my home, as if I were already gone. When Daniel arrived, I simply handed him my phone. His face shifted from confusion to discomfort. "She's just trying to help," he said softly. "Organizing!" I rasped. "She's throwing away my things, Daniel. She changed the locks. She's redecorating our home while I'm lying here with a brain injury. I'll talk to her." When after she's thrown out everything I love, what neither Daniel nor Vivian knew, Thomas Montgomery, Daniel's father, hadn't left Oak Ridge Manor to his son. He left it to me. "I need you to call Sarah," I told Daniel. "Ask her to bring my laptop tomorrow. And Daniel, don't tell your mother I'm being discharged on Friday." As he left, I allowed myself a small, bitter smile. Vivian thought she was reclaiming her territory, but she had no idea she was trespassing on mine. I remember the day Thomas told me. We sat in his favorite cafe, his coffee trembling slightly from the cancer already consuming him. "Vivian can't stand that you've done what she never could," he said. "You made Oak Ridge a home. Not a showroom, a home." I fell for that house instantly when Daniel first brought me there. The wraparound porch, the gingerbread trim, the echoes of another century. As a historical preservationist, I saw more than charm, I saw purpose. With Daniel's architectural skills and my passion for authenticity, we planned to restore Oak Ridge to its Victorian glory, while keeping it livable. Vivian had other ideas. Every visit came with critiques. "This house needs updating, not preserving. No one lives like this anymore." But Thomas saw the difference. That day, he set down his cup and said, "I'm leaving Oak Ridge to you, Rebecca. Not to Daniel. Daniel will inherit the business. But Oak Ridge needs someone who sees its soul. And Daniel has always been too easily swayed by his mother's opinions." "Vivian won't accept this," I whispered, his eyes still sharp despite his illness locked on mine. "She doesn't have to. But be ready. When she finds out, it will be ugly." 3 weeks later, Thomas passed away. At the will reading, Vivian's face hardened as she hissed, "This is absurd. The family home should go to Daniel. She manipulated Thomas while he was dying." "Mom," Daniel said gently, "Dad made his choice." Her eyes locked on mine, sharp cold. "This isn't over. That house belongs in this family." For 5 years, we held an uneasy truce. Vivian reduced her visits, but increased her phone calls to Daniel. I'd walk into rooms to find conversations ending abruptly. Daniel began suggesting changes that sounded suspiciously like his mother's ideas, until the ladder, the fall, the hospital bed, and those photos with free signs on my possessions. That's when I remembered Thomas's warning and understood what he meant. It would be ugly, but I wasn't afraid. I didn't go home after the hospital. I went to Sarah's apartment. When strong enough, we watched the security footage together. Day 3, timestamp 2:37 p.m. While I drifted in and out of consciousness, Vivian arrived with suitcases and a locksmith. The next clips showed her directing a junk removal service pointing at furniture I'd personally restored. She smiled as workers carried out my great-aunt's secretary desk. 6 months I'd spent refinishing it by hand. Day 5 was worse. Vivian stood before the grand staircase and ordered workers to dismantle the original balustrade, a hand-carved feature from 1892, replacing it with steel and glass. I paused the video and said, "I'm calling William Jenkins." My attorney advised me to document everything, file a police report, and request an emergency injunction from the Historical Preservation Board. "What about Daniel?" Sarah asked. "Where does he stand in all this?" "That's what I need to find out." The next day, I met Daniel at Riverside Cafe. He arrived looking relieved to see me upright, but that changed when I told him I wasn't returning to Oak Ridge. "Why are we meeting here? You should be resting at home." "Which home, Daniel? The one where your mother is throwing away my life piece by piece. She's just trying to help." "Stop! I've seen the footage. She's not helping. She's erasing." I slid a folder across the table. "What's this?" "A cease and desist letter, and a restraining order preventing her from coming within 500 feet of Oak Ridge." "Rebecca, that's extreme." "Is it she destroyed protected features of a landmark home? She threw away my possessions. She changed the locks on a house she doesn't own. We can fix this without lawyers." "I've spent 8 years trying to fix things with your mother. 8 years being polite and accommodating. And where has that gotten me? In a hospital bed while she invades my home." He looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps seeing for the first time the line that had been crossed. "What do you want from me?" he asked quietly. "I want you to decide where you stand. With your mother who believes she's entitled to take what isn't hers, or with your wife who is finally ready to fight back." The police cruiser pulled into the driveway at exactly 10:09 a.m. I sat in William's car just behind them, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Sarah waited farther back. Daniel had texted earlier. "I'll meet you there." Not a promise, but something. The front door opened before the officers knocked. Vivian Montgomery, immaculate in a cream pantsuit, stared in shock when she saw me. "Mrs. Montgomery," I said calmly, "I've filed a report for unauthorized entry and destruction of property. These officers are here to escort you off the premises." "Your property," she snapped. "This is the Montgomery family home. It belongs to my son." "No, Mom." Daniel stepped into view from the garden path. "Dad left Oak Ridge to Rebecca. You know that." Vivian turned to him incredulously. "You're taking her side after everything I've done to make this place suitable for you again." An officer intervened. "Ma'am, we have a valid restraining order. You'll need to gather your belongings and leave." "I was invited. Daniel gave me a key." Everyone turned to Daniel. "I gave you a key to check on the house. I never told you to change the locks, or throw away Rebecca's things, or rip out the staircase of a historic home." For the first time in all the years I'd known her, Vivian was speechless. "This isn't over," she finally said. "That house has been in this family for 4 generations. It doesn't belong to an outsider." "I am a Montgomery," I replied, "and I'm the legal owner of Oak Ridge." After Vivian was escorted inside to collect her things, I approached Daniel. "Are you okay?" I asked softly. "I don't know," he admitted. "I don't know if I can be what you need me to be." There was no anger in his voice, only truth. And strangely, I didn't feel betrayed. I felt clear. Something had shifted in that hospital bed in Sarah's apartment. In every moment, I watched my life hauled away in boxes. "I know," I said, "and I think we both need to sit with that for a while." Oak Ridge was wounded. Vivian had gutted its soul, ripping out hand-carved features, painting over century-old molding, discarding artifacts I'd spent years restoring. The Historical Society sent Martin, a restoration specialist, with a lumberjack's beard and a curator's reverence. "The newel post can be recreated from photographs," he said, "but it won't be cheap. Money isn't the issue. Restoring Oak Ridge properly is what matters." Daniel moved into the garden cottage, the former groundskeeper's quarters. The space between us felt necessary. We weren't fighting, but we weren't talking much either. Every few days he came to help. Quiet hands on quiet tasks. We worked side by side like artisans building something, if not a marriage, at least a shared history. 3 weeks after Vivian left, Daniel's brother Michael flew in from Portland. When he saw the security footage, he muttered, "Holy hell. I knew Mom was controlling, but this is next level." Later, he asked, "Where do you and Daniel go from here?" I let my fingers drift along Thomas's desk where my head had struck when I fell. "He's trying, but there's a gap we haven't figured out how to cross." Michael nodded. "It's always been that way. Daniel could never stand up to her. He told me he doesn't know if he can be what I need." That might be the most honest thing my brother's ever said. The question is, can you live with that honesty? Spring came, the gardens bloomed again, and so did Oak Ridge. The staircase was rebuilt. A master woodworker recreated the balustrade piece by piece. Every ugly fixture Vivian installed was replaced with the ones I'd lovingly sourced over years. Daniel and I shared meals now, sometimes in the cottage, sometimes in the main house. We spoke of practical things at first, but slowly the conversations deepened. "I've been seeing a therapist," he told me one evening. "Michael's idea." "How's it going?" "Clarifying," he replied. "Painful, but clarifying. I'm starting to see how much of my life I spent trying to please her. How much I let you carry while I stayed quiet." "I don't expect this to fix everything," he added. "But maybe it's a start." And I believed him not because he promised anything, but because for once he didn't. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Sunnydale Rehabilitation Center. "Ms. Parker, Vivian Montgomery has named you as her medical proxy. There must be a mistake." There wasn't. Vivian had suffered a minor stroke and listed me, not Daniel, to make decisions about her care. The same woman who tried to erase me from my home was now trusting me with her body. Dr. Cohen explained, "It was a small stroke, left-sided weakness. She'll need rehab." I authorized the plan and asked them to keep Daniel informed. When I told him, he was quiet for a long time. "Then, maybe this isn't manipulation. Maybe it's survival. She knows I might make decisions from resentment. You might not." A week into Vivian's stay, she asked to write to me. 3 days later, Daniel brought me 3 handwritten pages on cream-colored stationery. It wasn't what I expected. No excuses, no manipulations. Vivian wrote about control and fear. "I've lived my whole life trying to manage the world around me because I never felt I could manage myself." About me, she wrote, "You possess something I never could, a calm confidence, a center of gravity that doesn't need approval." I responded by trying to shrink you. I see now how wrong that was. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't ask for anything, just recognition and thanks for ensuring her care. I sat with that letter for a long time. It didn't erase the damage, but it was the first honest thing I'd ever received from Vivian. Was it growth? Was it manipulation with better packaging? I didn't know, but I didn't throw the letter away. Some things don't need immediate answers. Some reckonings take time. By summer, Oak Ridge had come back to life. Every broken piece repaired, every scarred detail restored. But it didn't just feel whole, it felt mine. Not because I'd fought for it, but because for the first time, I didn't have to. Daniel remained in the garden cottage. I stayed in the main house. And somehow the distance between our doors brought us closer than we'd ever been under one roof. We shared dinners. Sometimes we kissed goodnight. Sometimes we didn't. There were no rules now, only choices. One evening on the porch swing with fireflies rising in the dusk, Daniel said, "I've been thinking about what comes next. These past months have been clarifying. What if we redefined our marriage, not the version we were told to have, but one that works for us? 2 homes, 1 partnership, space when we need it, connection when we choose it, not by default, by intention." I smiled because it made sense. More sense than pretending the old foundation still held. "We can still share meals, share nights, share work," I said, "but keep our own sanctuaries. Choose each other daily, not just by habit." A marriage defined by choice, he whispered. Not expectation, I replied. The stars appeared one by one, and I thought back to where this story began. A hospital bed, a text message, my grandmother's quilt tossed like garbage. Vivian had tried to erase me, but she hadn't known one thing: I didn't just own the deed. I carried Oak Ridge's soul in every decision I'd made, every corner I'd preserved, every fight I hadn't backed away from. I didn't win because I outmaneuvered her. I won because I refused to disappear. Because I understood some things are worth preserving, not for nostalgia, not for pride, but because they remind us who we are and who we refuse to become. This is Oak Ridge, and this is mine.